All right, we are live.
We know.
You cut out for a second, but we can hear you.
Ooh. Let me get closer. Sorry, I was leaning down.
Well, that definitely would affect things.
Sounds like we're all about at the same level.
That's good.
Oh, yeah, good call. Yeah, how am I sounding?
You're sounding like Lunasaur.
You sound pretty good. Like so far, it seems like we're all level. I just need to hear Baggins.
To this day, no one knows what a Lunisaurus sounds like.
I'm waiting to hear the playback, and I'm not hearing it.
I'm sorry, did you put Sneak King as the cover?
Darn straight. That is clickbait gold right there. Are you kidding?
What's that?
Clickbait gold?
Yep. We all sound fine, at least from what I can hear on my stream. So, huzzah. Ain't nothing gonna break our stride.
Ain't nothing gonna hold us down?
Oh no, you got to keep on moving.
Oh wow!
So did I tell you I finished
now it's
Way
in
of
my
Kings?
No, he didn't.
Yes, I did finish The Way of Kings.
Okay, remember now we are streaming, so spoilers.
Okay, well, I enjoyed it,
and I don't know if Looney's read it, so
I don't think he has, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had a couple of, non-joking things about it. I'm trying to get through Warbreaker, but I have not liked what I've heard so far, so I might just skip it and go to the next book.
Oh, the audiobook for that one's not as good, unfortunately.
It isn't, but like audiobook is how I consume it, because it's just the best that I can.
How far in are you?
Responsible Sister has snuck away from the palace and is trying to save Merida from the marriage that she's now in.
Okay. Merida?
That's who I'm assuming the other sister is.
Siri.
The phone assistant.
Yeah. I don't care. Like she's Merida from Brave. At least from the description and the way she acts.
I just picture her talking like this all the time.
Wrong Siri.
Because she's Siri.
Yeah, I got it.
Technology humor. But anyway, yes, I made it through The Way of Kings. My joke to Splice in the middle of his day, which broke, is like, no one here is interested in getting gains except for Cal. Which immediately was followed by, or is this like a dairy type thing? And like there's like a king of cheesemakers, and he separates the way.
I was so confused. Just like, what is he on about? Oh, Way of Kings.
Which is why, if you look in the Splice stream, I am DKZ, The Way of Kings.
All right, well, it's 8:30. Let's get started. Everyone, shut up. Let's do this. When I was but a lad, I was playing one of the coolest new games in the world, Super Mario 64. There's a level called Big Boo's Haunt, which I thought was going to be like regular ghost houses from the previous Super Mario games. Lots of boos, not really scary. But then I walked into the left room. There didn't seem to be anything in the room except another door and just this inconspicuous piano that then suddenly grew teeth and damaged me, and I ran away because it's as loud and it's annoying, and it was, I think, my first video game jump scare. Welcome to episode 34 of I Think We Overleveled, where we're talking about spooky moments in non-spooky games. How's it going?
I thought you said Big Booze Hunt, Booze.
That's a very
different game than I
very
played.
different game. The Big Booze Haunt. Yeah, that's the rated M for mature version.
Apparently.
But no.
The Nintendo After Dark version.
Yeah. Well, so did you guys have a first jump scare with the Big Booze Haunt?
I'm gonna say no. I don't feel like that was the first jump scare I'd ever had, but I'm reaching for what it was.
I remember actually not trusting the piano, but I wasn't expecting it to go that hard.
Yeah, I don't know if it was my first jump scare, but it definitely was a jump scare.
See, for me, it was one of those things where I saw the piano, and because they had trained you in the previous levels, I thought when I first saw it, my first thought was, I bet I'm supposed to jump on that to get to somewhere else. That seems, and I think it's designed that way on purpose. Just to, because you see the ledge above you, and it's like, how do I get there? I bet I jump on this piano, and then it comes alive and it tries to eat you.
And it is loud too when it comes to life. My goodness.
It's the cheapest of jump scares you can do, but it was so effective. I was not prepared for the piano to come to life. And it's a weird thing because in the 64 era, I felt like there was a horror level for every single game.
It does feel like that, huh? Yeah, it does feel like, especially in that era, there's like the token sewer, there's the token forest, and then there's like a sandy beach, deserty kind of deal, and then there was like the like you said the horror theme one.
Well, especially around this era, because I think what was it? Link to the Past. They did their whole like it followed your classical elements, your hermetic elements, earth, fire, wind, water, and then you went into some other stuff, and the ghosty one was the Shadow Temple.
Yeah, though if I'm honest,
that wasn't the scariest part.
That wasn't that by the time I reached the Shadow Temple, I was already used to it. Because honestly, just the first time you pull the Master Sword and go into the Hyrule town
with the Redeads.
Yeah, the Redeads that like. They see you, they scream super high pitched, super loud, and then you're frozen and you can't do anything as they come up and start munching on your brains.
Well, and that's, but what I'm saying is it just sort of went with the themed levels like that. And then, of course, Mario 64, which we're already talking about, we have this is this world, this is that world.
This was the creepiest part of Ocarina of Time to me, the dry well.
Well, yeah.
Oh, the well was horrifying.
That's the one that had Dead Hand, right?
Yes, still to this day, one of the creepiest monster designs I have ever seen.
Oh, I agree. But like I said, I was kind of used to the horror. I was expecting the horror in this game ever since seeing the Redeads, just because the Redead freaked me out so much the first time.
That shriek is just, it'll mess you up as a kid.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of, but a part of it I do think is because the 64, because its graphics are so boxy, there's a lot that falls into the uncanny valley.
Oh yeah,
just as a natural extension.
Plus
the art style they chose for the game as well, because like they had some creepy, just normal.
I mean, yeah, the Skulltulas,
which your timing is.
Oh, the skeleton spiders.
Yeah.
And then of course the gold Skulltulas are have the body horror stuff going on. Yep. Like if you go into the Skulltula manor or mansion or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they're like half changed and just absolutely horrifying.
Trying to find Dead Hand. Yeah, here we
Now,
are.
Dead Hand was kind of this game's version of the Wall Walkers.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, the Wall Masters.
The
They
Wall
freaked
Masters,
me out.
that's it.
Yeah, the Wall Masters freaked me out even in the old 2D games.
Uh-huh.
But the way
guess
it
they
moves
were
with
in
its head
one-
up.
I guess there was Wall Masters in the first game, but you could see them coming. I feel like it was in Link to the Past where you just had the shadow appear and then it would fall down from above.
I feel like Tim Curry would play Dead Hand in the live action adaptation.
Okay.
But like, just look at the way it moves. Oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't attack you. It takes a bite out of you.
Well, that and the coloring with the white with the like blood stains.
Well, and then the camera work, the way it moves when the hands do the bigger brother holding the little brother back move. It's also interesting because this is a part of I think this is also the first time you have another boss fight as young Link since you've been able to become adult Link.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you haven't really needed to go back for a while.
Yeah.
This is kind of where you learn you can go back, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's because part of it's also this is what creates the stable time loop. Because in the past you teach the guy the Song of Storms, and in the
then
future
he teaches you.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute. This is messing me up. But yeah, you needed this to get to Lens of Truth.
So you could get to the Spirit Temple.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't say this next one was like... Wait, I thought I did this. Did I not? There it is. It's not really that spooky, but it just leans to the whole thing we were talking about. All these 64 games had a spooky level. And for Banjo-Kazooie, it was Mad Monster Mansion. And it just it nails the theming of it, and the music's a ton of fun. But it's very little, it's not really that scary. Other than the ghost that can phase through walls, and the only way to kill them is with invincibility. But beyond that,
and like the music isn't particularly scary. It's sort of a goofy. Ooh, it's Halloween. Spooky,
it's Scooby Doo. It is the tone.
It's Tim Curry in The Littlest Witch.
It's an elementary school haunted house.
Yeah. But I think they do nail the theming pretty well. And there is an interesting, when you become the pumpkin to get to certain areas and you suddenly can't fight at all.
Okay,
suddenly.
Let's talk about the pumpkin, because I remember when I first went to what's his name?
Mumbo.
The Mumbo. When I first went to him and I'm like, ooh, what am I going to turn into now? I'm like, am I going to turn into a zombie? What kind of monster am I going to turn into? And I'm a friggin' pumpkin.
Yep.
I remember being so mad.
I don't understand. Why? What's more in spirit than a pumpkin? It's the natural thing to become.
This level kind of has a Ouija board feel to it as well.
I think that's literally what they're going for.
I never really thought of it that way.
See? Spooky.
Ooh.
But no. Anyway, I had to mention Mad Monster Mansion. It also has one of my favorite remixes in Smash Brothers, where it's just electric guitars and awesome. It's also just got one of my favorite moments. You know how, like, as you go through levels in this era, a lot of times you have to climb to the highest point.
Mm-hmm.
This is one
There's
of
always something there.
Yeah. Well, and it has one of my favorites just to then go into first person mode and sort of look over everything. I just have really fond memories of this level in particular. But yeah, there's definitely scarier. Now, I want to address something because we need to have a talk.
Okay.
Sneak King. We say it's not meant to be a horror game, but look at this is the press start page.
Okay.
I feel
It's
like
not a horror game, but it is horrifying.
I feel like it
before
knows
we get into this,
more
before we
letting
get
on.
too deeply into this, how many people here has actually played this game?
I have.
I have not played it, but I own it, and it's still in the wrap, unopened.
The game is a cheap marketing stunt. You got it for free if you ordered a very specific meal at Burger King. It was one of a few because you could get Sneak King, and there were two others that you could get, but they were all just shameless plugs. But this is the one that has all the notoriety.
Well, this is the only one that actually had any gameplay, but it was a moderately decent game from what I've heard.
But your whole
yes, I know it's a stretch, but compared to the other two,
you have to take it into the context of, even though it's supposed to be because at the time it was just the king would just pop out of nowhere and hold out a burger, and then somebody would be eat in just regular weird situations where you trip and fall, and there's the king with a Whopper or something like that. This kind of takes it from, and I would almost argue as the progenitor to games where you play the slasher and you get to see how they get to the other parts of the thing.
This is the first Dead by Daylight.
Exactly. And it's just him sneaking around. You have to go, and you can't be seen. You have to go around, and you have to catch them by surprise, and you're scored on how surprised they are by your presentation and jumping out of the bushes with a burger and some fries and a shake or something like that.
King by Burger Light.
Well, and it's just horrifying because basically he's just victimizing this little cul-de-sac here and running around behind things, behind houses, sneaking into people's places and stuff like that.
I prefer to think everyone actually can see him doing this, but because he's king, they're just humor him, pretend to be surprised.
And that's the thing is, all these people walking around the neighborhood are far too unbothered by this guy creeping around their cul-de-sac.
I mean, granted, when I played it, it was like a terrible version of Metal Gear Solid where you're trying to sneak up behind people.
It was the worst version of Thief, is what it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you'd have that flourish.
Oh, I have things to say about Thief.
I mean, I'm sure, but I mean, but it's it was not intended to be a horror game. And that is the criteria that we had here.
Yes.
It could not have for this show. It wasn't intended to be a horror game. It is not a horror game. This isn't a horror game. This is shameless. This is a shameless. It's
an advert game.
Yeah, it's an advertisement game.
Honestly, failing to give them a burger is almost more horrifying because they pass out from hunger see. They're it's everyone here is I don't know. They're on the verge of dying from lack of food, and if you don't get it to them,
which is just what sort of horrifying social experiment is this? I feel they're trapped in this cul-de-sac and they're not being fed.
This definitely does. Now that I think about it, this does have the feel of a 1950s Nuketown. Where it's there for the test.
They're trapped in a cul-de-sac, and the king is the only one who disperses the food, and so they have to go with the eccentric whims of the king if they want to eat.
Yep.
This is WandaVision.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But anyway,
it plays terrible. And,
I just want to go back to to that title screen and tell me they don't know what they've done.
Oh, they know exactly what they were doing. The marketing branch of Burger King at this era was just we are leaning in to this because the first time they did it, everybody was the first ad with the king in it. Everyone was horrified, and they said we can work with this.
Yeah. By the way, I did look it up. Your sealed copy could net you a whopping $5.
So Whopper. I could buy a Whopper.
$10 for the full set of all three games.
I've got one mint condition in shrink wrap on eBay that's going for $12.99.
Yeah.
Sounds
So,
like
yeah,
people
I could-
kept it in good condition. Dang it.
So what you're saying is that I could buy a Whopper
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I'm not. There's no way a Whopper
Actually,
costs $5
you-
anymore.
for $12.99.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that you can get
Yeah.
it.
Maybe half a
You can get a combo meal through the app. They've got like deals through the app.
Mm-hmm.
If you
If
have a
they're all like-
coupon. If you have a coupon, then
Maybe a Whopper Junior.
There
All
you
right.
go.
So we were talking about a crappy version of Thief. We last week we discussed Baggins'
Oh, gosh.
trauma. Where is
You're gonna make me relive it, aren't you?
okay,
No.
so where is this? So why are you at this asylum? Like,
I honestly, it's been so long, I don't remember. I think you're going
Which
to
Thief
get
is
some
this?
sort of information. This is the game Thief that came out in like 2012, I want to say.
Okay, so it's the reboot.
It's the remake. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not Dark Shadow or Deadly Shadows or this is the one the remake that came out. But for some
sophomore
reason
reboot. Yeah.
they send you to this old abandoned asylum, and you can just see right here, just at the beginning, it's already got the creepiest vibes. You know, you're on an island set apart from everything else. It's, you know, sort of a Twilight look. It's got mist all over the place.
Well, I feel
And-
like you just got off the train in Young Frankenstein.
But it's just utterly horrifying. And yeah, you know, it's like there are legends about why it was abandoned and stuff like that. And they say just sort of go in, and I think you actually have to sneak in through one of the cells. Like I could be remembering completely wrong on this, but I feel like you actually sneak in through the way that someone else snuck out years ago. And so you end up in one
that's
of the
not
cells.
a red flag.
But like you're hearing voices and things moving, and of course, I've told, or Jordan has told the story about when I walked around a corner and there was just a wheelchair that starts moving by itself. At which point, I was thoroughly done with the game because,
Yeah, and then you.
I mean,
did-
I
you did a
finished. I finished the
tire-
game. I went back and beat it, but
You did a tires
Oh.
drill into the kitchen, which is great because I couldn't see anything that you were playing. All I saw you do was just the
nope, not no.
Oh, that's
no,
right.
no,
The
no.
door
No.
opens for you.
And it's just like,
It's just hanging out. It's just like, oh look, come on in. I believe.
Like,
wait,
oh.
wasn't it boarded up before? I
don't remember. It's been so long.
I think it was when. See, let's see if I can find it. Yes, it was boarded up before,
Yeah.
and then it's so welcoming. Like, hey, you
And it's
want
just
to-
like,
Wait till you go around the corner and
you've
come back.
you've
Ooh.
gone into my brain and pulled out all of my worst nightmares.
Do not return to sender, por favor.
I'm trying to. Oh,
I
that's
like
right.
it shut.
It's slammed shut.
But like
It's doing
most
all
of
the
this game,
tropes.
most of this game is just sort of a stealth game. You sneaking in, you're trying to steal stuff. Ooh, this is so spooky. Or, you know, not so spooky, but ooh, this is cool. I'm an
Ah!
Like I said, nightmares. Oh, this level is horrifying.
And there's no other horror in this game whatsoever, right?
Not that I remember. I remember most of it is just you're a master thief who's sneaking in and trying to steal stuff without being detected. And if things get rough, then you got a blackjack that you can try and knock people out with.
That's
I
definitely
find
not.
the ironic thing. The only place you can't escape detection is at an abandoned place.
Mm-hmm.
Not as abandoned as you thought.
Yeah, so you're basically going through and that's the other thing. It's got sort of the Metroid Prime thing where you pick up notes and stuff, and that's how you learn information. And so you're feeling very solitary, but you're in a living nightmare.
Man, you've already seen
Fine.
ghosts and you're just pickpocketing all the drawers, rummaging through. That's someone who doesn't understand the trope of what's going on.
That's somebody who's never watched an Indiana Jones movie.
Exactly.
That's somebody who's trying to find whatever could be a potential phylactery so they can destroy it all.
That is another way of going about this. Yes.
But
But
yeah.
no, this level is just all of my nightmares wrapped into one.
Is that the wheelchair?
No, the wheelchair is once you're farther in, like into the patient areas.
I have to find this wheelchair. This is important. I don't care if we go to a different game, but I'm finding this wheelchair. Anyway.
Okay. Okay.
What else? You all brought some other games to the table.
Oh, I'll go next. I'll interlude this. So I am.
No. I said we're not switching from this. I'm finding this wheelchair. You keep talking.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like, well, if I can't switch the video yet, I have to.
Yeah. Then why am I going to go?
Start
why
talking.
Put research into this. So I am a notable tabletop role playing enthusiast, and I back in the day I did play some Vampire the Masquerade, and eventually they did come out with a game for PC for it. And I know what your guys are thinking already, vampires, it's horror based. That's not what Vampire the Masquerade really was. It was really kind of a, what's the way to, it was kind of a more social game. Because vampires were like undead Methuselahs who just were really persnickety about things. And each one fit into their own little clan, and it was like this, that, and the other. And I'm going to wait for Splice to get this because I want to queue up the video for it. But the game itself is more of an action social type game. But there is one part where it does get a little, it does venture into horror.
I mean, I've read some of the lore. There's a lot of horrifying stuff in there.
There is. There absolutely is, but there wasn't in this game because, again, like, trust me, like I played with the vampire kids when I was in high school, and some of them got real deep into the lore and were. Let's just say I'm glad that none of them had a talent for film because they had some really out there body horror ideas. And I'm glad that didn't happen. But
why can't I find the No, but I'm trying to find the vampire game. Why can't I find it on the list? I know it's here. There it is. Ocean House Hotel.
Yeah, towards the top. So this was, I'm trying to remember. This was, I think, pretty early on in the game, where you go to this hotel, and it was just completely haunted. Like, you'd have stuff fly at you and such. And considering, you had you at this point in the game, you have fought a Japanese assassin, you have dealt with two sisters that were polar opposites that actually turned out to be the same person, and may or may not have been the part of the visual inspiration for Harley Quinn as far as the later incarnations of her, but that's a whole different story. And being somebody again who is into the vampire the game, but not but the video game being pretty much a straightforward RPG, was not expecting to go full haunted, because really most vampire games is just a bunch of old people with different belief systems yelling at each other, and then eventually going out and having a drink, as you can see right there.
And by a drink, you mean eat people.
Not eat people. They don't eat people. Vampires do not eat people. They just drink blood, which happens to be in people. People are Capri Sun packages to them, and their teeth are the straw that gets punched into it. And they suck them dry.
Okay.
Well,
I'll
never look at a Capri Sun the same way again. Thank
I
you
will.
for that.
Okay.
I mean, we're all just orange consuming vampires. And the Capri
I'm sorry.
Sun
Was
just,
that rat just floating?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
All right. So the real horror is that the game is old and glitchy.
I mean, keep in mind, this was a game that came out in my 20s, so it's a good 25 years old. Like, they were supposed to come out Master, but that didn't really happen. And they were supposed to come out with like a sequel, which kind of happened, but really didn't.
No, I knew plenty of people that really loved this game. It was definitely a loved game. I don't know if you remember Gerald, but he absolutely adored this game as well.
I just remember that apparently if you chose to play the Count Orlok race, whatever they're called, that basically you didn't get to play like most of the game.
No, because they're ugly.
Sucks to be
like,
them.
That's the thing. I mean, without getting like too far into it, every clan has a flaw and has a merit to it. And like the ones which you see the most, the Ventru, they're the Corpo Goths. They're businessmen, but they're just like entirely too businessy and relentless. You have like the Toreadors, who are the suffering artists, but they're always in chase of perfection that they can never have. And then there's the Nosferatu, who are very good at networking, but they're ugly. Like Nosferatu, ugly, like in the old stuff. And you can go on with others, but like that's generally what it is. You choose your clan as to what you want to do or what you want your character to be, and you take like we could do a whole like thing on Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm probably not the person to ask about it because I was just kind of like a tangent player. But this game was pretty cool for its time.
Well, chandeliers are already swinging, so
like, what was there? Just like a haunted area or something?
Yeah, there was this whole hotel that you're supposed to go clear out.
Oh, okay.
That's haunted.
Yeah.
That's the entire level. Yeah, chandeliers are swinging. Oh, look, I know usually I'm a little bit more prepared than this with my footage. I had a heck of a day today. So.
No, I just moved forward till we got to it.
I can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I can see the vases exploding, chandeliers exploding.
Not exploding. This guy walked right into it, but it flies at you.
Oh, okay.
Like, and again, this was like before the time of like your horror games as well, to kind of put some context in here. There was no Five Nights at Freddy's, or there was no Slender Man game, or there was none of these other games that, came out where the goal was to screw with you. Or to make you like, this was really kind of like this is kind of different and weird.
Actually, I think.
I mean, the Resident Evils and stuff would have been.
This came out long after Resident Evil came out, long after even.
I've never played the Resident Evils. I just assumed they're zombie shooters.
Eternal Darkness.
Oh, Eternal Darkness on the GameCube.
We'll be discussing that next week.
Oh yeah. I actually can think of a couple of horrifying moments in NES games now that I think about it.
Okay.
One that'd be a decent honorable mention from the get-go is just the original Legend of Zelda. Whenever you got close to a boss's room, you could hear the boss. The breathing, and the boss roaring.
I never thought of that as a horror element, but now that you say that, yeah.
Because you're like, oh snap! I'm by the boss. It's there, like just that ratcheting tension as you can hear it as you get close to it.
Well, but, also I think you could maybe take that to mean as well. Like there were a few games, maybe not particularly at that time, but there were a few games where like if you got close to the boss, they'd play like a different music or something like that. You knew like it was about time to throw down.
Yeah. And another one I'd like to bring up is the original Final Fantasy, specifically the Marsh Cave.
Oh gosh, the Marsh Cave.
Yeah.
With a really high encounter level and monsters in boxes and that was rough.
I know in the remake they tried to make it kind of more like a dark cave, but in this one.
Well, in the remake, you can turn off encounters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, but like but also the monsters you encounter in the Marsh Cave, because it had a bunch of like undead enemies,
It's got a bunch
Slimes.
of legally distinct mind flayers.
Yes. The what they call them? I think they called them
Cacodemons.
like the wizards or something.
Cacodemons.
Well, probably in the remake, that's the name they gave, but yeah, they're definitely mind flayers.
I think they call them mind flayers in the original.
Were they called mind flayers? Well,
This
Yeah,
is
'cause
before
they-
everyone was more
yeah.
litigious.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, I just remember this dungeon in particular. You know, you wanted to bring your white mage with harm undead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because there are so many undead enemies. Because yeah, there's skeletons down here, the mind flayers down here, just
But
all
if
the
you didn't-
scary monsters.
But if you didn't have a white mage,
Yeah, and if you didn't bring your white mage, you were in serious trouble. But yeah, harm just does so much damage. But I do remember, especially because I was a little kid when I played Final Fantasy 1, and I mean I learned to read from playing to play this game, and yeah, Marsh Cave, scary place.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this place.
there, I found it. I found the wheelchair.
Okay.
Found it.
What's the time code?
10135. 1 hour, 1 minute, 35 seconds.
Gotcha.
I want to see if it's called the Mind Flayer though.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh well.
101. Okay, we're almost there. Nope. Still not there. How many seconds ahead does this go? Only 5 seconds? Okay, we should be close now.
About a minute shy.
Waiting for it.
That's the other thing. You find this room packed with wheelchairs. Why are there all the wheelchairs crammed into this room? I don't know.
You do see that with a lot of these abandoned locations where you're just like, what was going on when they abandoned it?
Exactly. Well, and that's the other thing is it's only mostly abandoned because there are still there are still patients here.
Oh, really? Oh, that's actually
Not
scarier
like-
than ghosts.
Not a lot of them, just a few of them.
That actually sounds like some real horror stories
Yeah,
I've heard
we're,
about.
we're,
Yeah.
we're coming up on it.
Yep, and then,
Right there.
and I
And
can
it's just moving by itself. Why is it moving?
I'll never forget that sound. Ah! Like it was
Nope.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
And then you go in and it's a dead end room.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Oh. Man, okay. Can we really call Metroid Dread not a horror game?
I don't know. Can you?
It's called Dread for crying out
I mean, it's
loud.
called Dread, but like most of the game isn't horror though.
I disagree.
It's just very specific moments.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they're part of the game. Like they're a key part of the game.
They're the centerpiece, frankly.
Exactly. That's what I mean. They're the
Yeah.
centerpiece of the game.
I mean,
Metroid Fusion wasn't sold as a horror game, but holy crap.
Oh yes.
well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really view the Emmys all that different, but
I think it's just how it's sold.
Dread at least.
It won't let me play this video.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Is that because you've made
YouTube does not allow age-restricted videos to be embedded on any site. Wow, they
Huh.
think the
That's
SAX
wrong.
encounters
Okay.
are so scary. They're age-restricted.
What?
I don't know.
And yet the asylum is not.
No.
No.
Let's see, SAX encounter. I'll find a different video.
I found a really short one.
Found one that's 12 minutes long.
No, don't antagonize it. What are you what is happening?
Someone is showing off that they're just better at the game than we are.
Yeah,
This is
exactly
the
what that was.
This is the Leonardo Raphael, and I'm better than you.
Jeez Louise.
But
Some
yes,
people.
the SAX, which, you know, is
Maybe that's why it's age restricted. SAX is too close. So,
because, you know, YouTube's got a thing against saxophones. I know.
Saxon violence.
Yep, Saxon violins. Get it right. But oh my goodness, the SAX is terrifying.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely terrifying, especially because in Fusion you have been like depowered, and you know how powerful you were, especially if you've played other Metroid games. And then to see an enemy that has all of your powers that you're missing come after you, and the atmosphere it gives, and just the every step it takes, it's like ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
Well, and the music stops.
Yeah. Oof. It's just terrifying. And then when it's chasing you and it has the ice beam, which you're now weak to, oh my goodness, it scared the crap out of me.
Let's see if can I find one of the chases. Oh, here we are. But yeah, no.
Well, and also most Metroid games, aren't necessarily horror, but as soon as you come across the Metroids, every single game turns into a horror game.
Oh yeah, like running into the Metroids that feel this way, running into the SAX feels this way. Yeah, no, honestly, every Metroid game's like that. So I know you say, oh, well, Dread was sold as a horror game. I'm like, I mean, it's in the title, but it's still just a Metroid game where, you know, it's a Metroid game that has an enemy that absolutely terrifies you, as you expect to happen. Just like every other Metroid game, if I'm perfectly honest.
Oh, I feel like Dread was just is different in that I feel like it's embracing it more, but that's just, I'm sorry. Halloween Town. Yeah, that qualifies.
Honestly, it wasn't that scary because, I mean, the movie itself isn't that scary, but...
Oh, no.
But I love the aesthetic, honestly.
It's not scary, it's spooky.
It's spooky. And
it's Halloween Town.
It did a great job of adapting Halloween Town.
No, don't get me wrong. This thing has some horrifying designs, like the eyeball hanging out.
Well, it's Tim Burton. Of course it does.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want?
Also, I will admit, Donald's mummy look is pretty horrifying looking.
Well, the fact that like part of the bandage is falling away and there's nothing underneath it.
But yeah.
That feels correct.
Also, the pumpkin at the end of Goofy's nose.
Just feels unnecessary.
And I do like even Sora's design for it. With the pumpkinized kitsune mask, and, you know, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's classic. It's the same thing as Mad Master Mansion. Now, okay, here's one I didn't know about till I was sort of doing research on this. Did any of you play Lemmings?
Oh yes.
No. Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I played that like crazy.
Why did no one tell me that this level existed in Lemmings? Because what the crap is this? This level is called Menacing.
I forgot about this.
I don't remember this level.
This is in the game. This is not a mod. This is actually in the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
No, I vaguely do remember this.
So, apparently...
Yeah, that's a bit unexpected.
So, apparently, because the music's also, like, all metaled out and stuff like that. Apparently, the developers of Lemmings also made a game that was I think it was a shmup that called Menace. That this is like they basically ripped one of the levels and made it a Lemmings level, but it was all heavy metal type you know,
Hmm.
like stuff that would be on a metal album. So there's like, yeah, just throw that into Lemmings. That won't scar anybody.
Yeah, just take a cute little game that kids play and yeah, just make a level with
Blood and skulls and
blood
snakes.
and skulls and the blood's congealed enough to hold skulls up. That's yeah, that's
It's a
jeez.
choice.
Wow.
And I remember I was at the age where this was just like, this is so cool. Because remember,
Honestly,
you're not hardcore unless you live hardcore.
That is
honestly,
true.
I
That
think
is
if
true.
I had gotten far enough to this, I think I would have been I wonder if I would have been upset, honestly, at this. I don't know.
But yeah, so apparently this existed. Here's another game that is unintentional. I don't think it's meant to be scary. At least the developers have said, no, this isn't meant to be a horror game. But it feels like one. Frickin' Subnautica. Just
So this is one I never
Interesting.
played.
And I've never played it, but interestingly enough, while I've been in the office this week, it's come up quite a bit.
really.
Like,
Oh, that's
a
right.
cou- a couple-
They
the
announced
op-
the sequel. That's right.
Yeah, that's why it came. That's why
Well,
it came out.
I mean, he says it's not meant to be a horror game, but I mean, deep sea ocean stuff.
Yeah.
How is that?
So
not going to be?
thalassophobia is awakened
By-
in this game.
Look, if you want
its-
to talk about how scary the deep sea is, somebody go talk to Ed Harris.
I mean, deep sea is kind of horrifying because there's a lot of monster fish down there, and we're not built to handle any of it.
Well, there's a lot of monster fish, and it's just set up so that, much like space, it's difficult to explore. So there's stuff down there we just don't know what's there. I mean, Michael Crichton capitalized on that with Sphere,
Yeah.
which was horrifying, by the way. I never saw the movie, but the book it messed me up.
Didn't the movie have J-Lo in it? Or am I imagining that?
I don't remember.
I mean, that was horrifying in and of itself, but
Yeah, just being in the ocean. Terrifying. Even this, it's like, this isn't beautiful. This is nerve-wracking because you know your vision only goes so far. So you don't know what's out there. Back on the train of there's always a horror level in these games. The minecart levels in Donkey Kong Country 2, where you're chased by the giant floating skeleton crocodile ghost.
Oh, see, and I was thinking,
Mm.
I mean, it's not kind of the same, that kind of horrifying. I was thinking of the red light, green light.
Well, it is sort of the red light, green
I mean,
light.
same thing, yeah.
But yeah, it's the same sort of concept.
Yeah,
No,
the
I've
red.
forgotten
You know,
about this. It's
yeah,
been a while
you know,
since I played
man, I
this game.
forgot the red light, green light. Yeah, I definitely should have put this on the list. The red light, green light level. Giant
like, it's not-
giant
it's
skeleton
not-
pirate ghost, crocodile
Yeah.
ghost.
No, the red light, green light isn't like your classic monster horror, but it's horrifying.
It's funny. It's almost like I feel like this one was intended to be scarier than the other red light, green light, but I think because the lighting stays consistent, it's actually less scary even with the giant ghost chasing you.
Well, I mean, there is a natural fear in humans of the dark because it's built into our survival instinct of we don't know, if there's something out there that could get us, we want to be able to see it.
Well, I don't know. I actually typically really I don't know. I'm actually one of the weird people that kind of like the dark and find it calming and soothing, but it's when there's eerie lighting that's kind of inconsistent. That's what's terrifying, is when it's not consistently dark, if that makes sense.
I found red light, green light. It's called Stop and Go Station.
That's the one.
Because the fact that the lighting switches between green and red with flickering,
Well, and the way that these things move.
Yeah.
And if you're still on the platform when they come back up.
Yeah, the little rock creatures. Yeah.
Oh, Claptrap, really?
Yeah, I guess they're going for like red light, green light, the children's game here.
Yeah.
But this is actually way scarier. Well,
like, look at how fast it's going.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm going to eat you. And there's nothing you can do about it.
But yeah, that's not the scariest of the Donkey Kong stuff, though, because they actually did have 2 horror levels in Donkey Kong 64. They had Frantic Factory and Creepy Castle. Ironically, Creepy Castle not as scary as Frantic Factory. Well, so the thing about Creepy Castle is it's again the whole Scooby-Doo thing, where literally they have a bunch of the normal minions, but they're just wearing a sheet of some kind to to dress up as a ghost, which is just hilarious. But the final boss of Frantic Factory is actually legitimately terrifying. One of the best scary boss designs ever, because it's a freaking clown inside of a Jack-in-the-Box. And
okay,
so we've combined 2. Plus, if
sleep,
yeah,
can't sleep, clown will eat me. Can't sleep, clown will eat me.
Can't eat, clown will sleeping forever.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's a tiny little box. Then it grows, and then that
he just
pops
wants
out.
to love you.
Oh, wow.
Does he though? Does he?
So yeah, that's the boss. And you just basically run from it for a while before you finally can attack it. And, but yeah, that it's just terrifying. Just again, this isn't a horror game, but what is that? All right, Commies, I'm ready for you to tell us about getting the Undertaker's urn in SmackDown versus Raw 2006.
What in the world?
Okay. So
this is going to require some
another thing that many of you all know about me is that I am an avid wrestling fan. I have been since I was 6 years old when my grandfather took me to my first wrestling match, and it's just been an on again, off again love affair ever since. And I was really into the wrestling video games, so I would get them every year. Not so much anymore, but like I used to. And so in one of the later games, this was SmackDown versus Raw 2006. There's a career mode where you can play as one of the wrestlers, or you can create your own wrestler, which is what most everyone did, because if you're going to play in a wrestling game, play you or your stand-in or whatever, your wrestling persona. And this was at the point where like it was actually kind of, they were putting some effort in there. They would make like the wrestlers go in and like voice act. And so even though we don't have the voice on here right now, I do believe that you get like Booker T and like Rey Mysterio's like voices in it. Well, if you play through the career mode and you can keep rolling over, there's a storyline that comes in that for whatever reason, I think it was because you were feuding with someone, that you somehow end up with Eddie Guerrero in league with you, and he steals the Undertaker's urn. Now, a little bit of context to this.
Oh, the lore on the Undertaker is deep and it is vast.
I'm gonna try and nutshell this for you guys, but to put it to you in the simplest terms possible, the Undertaker is an undead wizard who is managed by a creepy guy named Paul Bearer, who the guy who played him in real life owned a bunch of mortuaries in Mobile, Alabama. Cool. Has a brother who he may or may not have burned as a child that he thought was dead and was secreted away by Paul, who, as it turns out, is only his half brother, because Paul's the actual father of Cain, his demon brother, who wears red and was in a mental asylum. And he has some druids. He can shoot lightning. He has the ability to teleport. He can make the lights go on and off. He can turn them grell. He cannot be killed. And one of the rules of living is that never go after the Undertaker. You hear the gong, you best be gone, because you hear that gong, that's your ass. You're donezo. So, part of his gimmick is that he draws this power from this mystic urn. I don't know if it was ever explained what's in the urn, but whatever it is, that's what he gets his powers from. There was actually a whole thing where he went up against Kama, who was a prize fighter who later went on to become the Godfather. And if you want to know all about that, that can be a whole different show. And if you just want to look up the Godfather wrestler, and that's a whole thing in and of itself. But the idea is that Kama jumped the Undertaker, took his urn, melted it down, and turned it into gold chains. And that was their entire feud, was him trying to get the gold chains back to turn it back into an urn so that he could have his powers back. Have I thoroughly confused you guys yet with the backstory?
This sounds like very normal wrestling.
So, the urn is very important in the story of The Undertaker. And so, as you can see on screen here, Eddie Guerrero, God rest his soul, in the game, there is a storyline where he takes the urn. And because this is a video game, he basically controls The Undertaker. And you control the Undertaker, like you pretty much can do whatever you want. Like, that's like, having the Balrog under your thumb. And the whole storyline revolves around whether or not you're going to align yourself. At first, you're aligning yourself with Eddie, but then there comes the point where you can like make some choices that put you in some conflict. And eventually it comes to a head where you can you can get beat by Eddie because he turns on you, because he lies, he cheats, and steals, and he's a bad friend. Or B, you can beat him and you can take the urn from him, and then you get to choose whether or not you get to keep the urn and have the Undertaker under your control, which turns into a storyline in and of itself later. Or B, give it back to him and thus have the Undertaker as a free-willed ally. And this isn't a wrestling game. And it culminates with, at the end of the match, if you decide to give him the urn back, he basically takes Eddie Guerrero by the throat, chokeslams him in a coffin, and closes it shut. It was a very, very creepy. And there's kind of something I'm dancing around, which kind of made it even more so creepy, because this game came out on November 14th, 2006. Eddie Guerrero passed away on November 13th, 2006. So this was the last little, there's a whole, the Madden curse. There's also the Undertaker curse, where, storylines involving the Undertaker and his powers, apparently he did one with Chris Benoit, and that came out a little bit before he lost his mind, and that whole thing. We're not going to go down that road because that's a big downer. But
yes, it is.
It's a very, it's already a creepy storyline about, hey, I've got this power and I'm just mind controlling the biggest baddest guy on the roster. And again, creepy, also very underrated. Eddie Guerrero could do creepy very well when he wanted to. I mean, just thinking of some of his, controlling you, Ray, and your family is my new addiction promos. Ugh. But it's a very creepy storyline made more so by real life events, because obviously this was just voice acting for a video game. But yeah, and again, that's very normal wrestling storylines.
Yeah, it is. I don't really have a segue for this. So I was thinking about putting stuff from Arkham Knight in there, but I then realized Arkham Knight is a horror game.
Well,
it's entirely dealing with this.
What about Arkham Asylum? I didn't feel like Arkham Asylum was a horror game.
I feel like Arkham Asylum was more of a horror game than Arkham Knight.
Yeah, but both I would consider, one is completely dealing with the Scarecrow, the fear, and all that goes in. The other one's just in Arkham Asylum, which just anything in there is a horror game. Arkham City is not a horror game. However, there is an Easter egg that was basically the teaser for eventually what would be Arkham Knight. That is one of the scariest things I've ever done in a game, because you have to go to a lot of work to get to this barge and know the code to get in.
I know what you're talking about.
And let's see. Once you get in, it's interesting because this is a third-person game. You get in, it switches to first person.
Oh, that's different.
And there's just all these bugs everywhere. There's all these shipping manifests. And so it's just like, this is just an Easter egg. There's no point to this. Other than just to imply that the Scarecrow is planning something.
Yeah, all
That's
I know is
interesting because
in
those
Arkham
bug
Asylum, the Scarecrow. Oh my gosh! Oof.
Well, and those bug zappers show up in Arkham Knight. They're one of the collectibles where you have to break it down to break it.
But yeah, like that, he won't jump until you zoom in to look closer at him. This place was so creepy. It's interesting how just taking you to a different perspective could completely change it.
Well, especially when you're playing this game. Well, when it puts you into first person, suddenly there's a whole lot of area that you can't see, which means, oh, someone can sneak up with me. Sneak up on me.
Or with you.
Or
like
from you.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Huh. Interesting. I just saw the word in this Batman clip, the word satisfactory, and that's actually one I just added.
Oh, okay.
Because satisfactory is
it's
a horror game.
Are you kidding me? It's a horror game for anyone who doesn't like having to manage stuff.
Well, okay, maybe if you're not a total engineer, efficiency manufacturing geek, I suppose. But in this game, there are certain enemies. Like as you go exploring, there's fauna that will attack you. And actually, where he's going right now, I was just there the other night, and yes, it is. It got my heart racing, and in fact, I had a kid come, "Hey, can you help me out?" And I'm like, "I can't come right now." As he gets right up this cliff, in this area right here, there's a bunch of enemies called stingers. And
what do they do?
They are giant jumping spiders.
Nope.
Yeah.
Fire.
And in this area, there's like 20, and yeah, they are able to jump like 30 yards in the air to come chase after you. And yeah, that one's as big as you are, and it's able to spit poisonous gas. And if it jump attacks you, I want to say 3 times it's enough to kill you. I actually did die to that one, and yeah, oh gosh, and he didn't even bring in a gun that's homing. I at least had a homing gun to fight this thing with, but I also had to build a little bit of barriers to climb and take cover with, which
you built barriers. He's just built different.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, I just put a bunch of lookout towers, though I did throw some explosives, which he started out with, but yeah, the stingers are terrifying. In fact, so much that there were enough developers that were developing this game that couldn't handle the giant spiders. So they actually have in the options in arachnophobia mode where they cover the spiders with sprites of the different developers' cats. Like they took pictures of the team's cats to paste in front of the spiders. So
the Octo Kitten. We had such high hopes.
So you can't see it, but it's still a giant spider attacking you that just has a cat mask on it. which I don't know if it makes that mode that much better. But this game is not a horror game, but those monsters are absolutely horrifying. And I really don't think that spider was supposed to chase him that far. I'm realizing he just ran a very long distance on that map. Wow.
The spider's here to send a message.
Oh no, he did bring homing ammo. Goodness, he just barely equipped it. Okay.
You're not that spider's mom. You can't tell it what to do.
True.
But yeah, no, I didn't actually realize it would chase him that far. But yeah. So that, I will admit, every time I run into that enemy, I do get a good shot of adrenaline going through me dealing with it, because they are horrifying in their ability to just come at you. Because like the other enemies, they're either like stuck on the ground and they, charge in a straight line. They're more predictable. The other ones just shoot at you from a distance or spawn flies that fly at you. But the fact that they jump at you and do so much damage and have so much health, whew, terrifying.
Yeah, that doesn't look fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Just not what I expect in my efficiency game,
I know. It was just like Satisfactory, like unexpected horror. Like, yeah, Satisfactory has its, Metroid Dread moment in there.
All right, I know I'm asking for a lot. Actually wanted to move to, this is very dangerous for me to bring this up with this group since we did an entire episode on this. But I actually want you guys to discuss a little bit about why suplexing a train is actually part of an emotional storyline.
So this is actually the horror spooky level of Final Fantasy VI, because after Cyan, the knight guy in the bottom there, after his family, well, his entire country was murdered by Kefka, you go into a forest and you come across the train, and it's the Phantom Train, and it is in the process of carrying the souls of all the murdered victims of his country to the other side. And you're just trying to get across, but you end up being stuck on the train as a bunch of ghosts corner you and pressure you onto the train, and then you're trying to get off because you're still alive. You don't belong on the other side. But you have to get to the front of the train and fight it. And Sabin, who is awesome, has the best, absolutely the best, has the special power.
What's the point? Like, what's the point of your game if you can't buy
this is one of those, it was not a bug, that was a feature.
Yeah, how dare you remove such an important feature? It's like, oh, good. Yeah, whichever version they wouldn't let you was a giant mistake.
See, I would and child die in his arms, like literally, like in all of its 16-bit glory. What
is it that makes Kefka such a good villain? And that's exactly what makes him such a good villain.
Yeah, that's what the texture that leads up to it, to this incredibly silly animation.
Because, I mean, it's essentially a trainified version of the River Styx. And
that's a lot of train compartments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, like, again, like watching that game, it really is. It really does.
I am, and my friends, I personally don't know that 10.
Really, 10.
Ew.
These are people who came to the series through 10. So remember, just
the bad laugh acting. Goodness.
Most people, as compared to what?
Like most people who like play games now.
Because like this part's pretty freaky, especially where like Red 13's pretending to be all
evil.
Yeah. Thank goodness it was just an act though. But then after you're captured and would lead you to where the path you need.
This is horrifying.
Like you want to know why Sephiroth.
In the last time where they really show how scary he is, because But the thing is like, so you use a chocobo to avoid them, right? But so it's like, it's made so if you try to take on the Zolam yourself, it will absolutely murder you. But then once you Zolam, he just literally impaled it.
Madness that was Kefka.
Well, the problem
Like,
is, by the
one
time
guy
they would
destroyed
have
a nation and killed the world, the other guy threw a rock at the world and missed.
Yes, but and
I don't
Sephiroth-
share shoes, so I can't put myself in anyone's shoes.
Well,
I have.
Harlequin Kefka. Oh wait, he just like murdered an entire nation and then just savagely you just slap.
Dead with the giant sword stabbed through his back, just impaled.
The Buster Sword is ridiculous as well.
I'm gonna say
But,
no,
like, you look at-
because
Yeah.
Naginata
is a spear. Yeah, there we go.
no, neither. But neither's the Buster Sword.
No,
like it's just
no,
the aesthetic of the game.
It's kneecap.
If you can engineer that, you should have built something better. But that's not the point. The point is to look cool,
The rule of cool, as they say.
But yeah, no. Back on point. Halo itself already lends itself to some pretty good uncanny horror just because it has these wide open spaces that feel like they should be lived in, but they're not, kind of hinting at that this place is artificial and, you know, all that other stuff. But when you get to the library, because Cortana is taken from you, you go through this entire segment where you're descending down into this pit and you're seeing the results of a flood attack, but you have no idea what that is. And I just remember how terrifying this level was.
Since you're mentioning Halo, and I remember playing through that because I was gifted the game. And, you know, if you're gonna buy me a game, I'll make a concerted effort to get health bar going. Like, you're seeing cracks in your visor and you're like seeing, like, you know, you're moving slower and stuff like that. And while that may not be creepy, that's a little bit of a horror, just like slowly going down.
Yeah.
You know,
going down with
yes.
And you get into this level where
The one where Kerrigan gets captured, right?
to make it through until the cavalry comes and saves you. Look to
Also, she has an automatic sniper rifle.
Yeah. I enjoyed StarCraft 2, but I hate the whole, I saved Kerrigan and she immediately goes back. Just, that part pisses me off.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, the cinematic.
Yeah. Blizzard used to be good at telling stories.
Yeah, they used to be.
There used to be a lot of things.
I least expected for anything to be creepy in Pokemon. But Lavender Town is so freaking creepy. That creepy music and the ghost tower. I did not expect this.
On the lore that's been built up over it since.
Yeah, it's also, it's the source of one of like the original like creepy pastas that went around, the whole Lavender Town syndrome.
Yeah, how people listened to the music, went crazy, and yeah.
No, there's something about this town that is just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because it was so unexpected.
Well, they have ghosts and well, that, and I mean, people talk about like, oh, so you fight you fight Blue in there, and he's like, have you ever had a Pokemon die? And you realize he no longer has the Raticate in his party anymore because you
it looks like the mainstream is buffering quite a bit.
It has been for a while.
Into the creep factor for it.
Oh yeah.
Well, just like look at the like you're inside the tower here. They add all
there's like purple haze.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, they actually took the time to level this area up, where so much of this game it's like, not that. But this area they did well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just and this isn't the only creepy moment Pokemon's had. They also have the weird ghost girl in, what is that? Shining Diamond, I think.
Not to mention, there are backstories for certain Pokemon
Pearl
that are
and
utterly
Diamond?
horrifying when you think about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
like
so
Cubone.
many of the a lot of them are
Cubone.
based off of yokai.
Oh my god, what
Like
was that
Drifloon?
Pokemon?
Like Drifloon, that's based off of the yokai. That's like a balloon that. It's there's a lot of creepy stuff in Pokemon if you read that Pokedex. I mean, because it's based off of yokai, so.
But it is. But that's just because these games are sometimes unexpectedly spooky out of nowhere.
Yeah, but like you have to kill him to leave the room, and that
Wake up so early for it because I have coworkers who are on the East Coast, and we just have to deal with that. So, Kamizite, why don't you start us off? What
Enemies over on Tapas. Actually, since I was here stumping last week, we have made significant progress. She is in the top 50, which is absolutely amazing. If she can make the top 50, that means she goes on to the next round, which is either going to be they read it and they judge it from there, or popular vote. So we'll see what comes next. But through everyone who's been hearing my voice and all the people who I have been bugging, thank you very much. But you still have a day left to go in, get views, sub, and like. Please, every little bit helps. She actually made the front page because she had so many views. She did that specifically so that she could craft a good magic system, so that there's like some kind of basis in it. And again, please go read it so that she could put a unique magic system forward.
Don't call it Brando Sando.
I have to. Like, Splice came up with that.
No, he did not.
No, he did not.
That is his Wednesday night pod. That used to be his Wednesday night podcast when he would go through and he'd let everyone know what Sandos that Brando was eating that week.
Anyway, Baggins, do you want to promote? And
7:30 p.m. Pacific time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. Right now, we're in mega spoiler territory because we're talking about a book that isn't published yet. It'll come out in December, and it's the closing book in the first arc of the Stormlight Archive book. So it's kind of a huge undertaking, and we've been doing that for a while, and we're excited. So we'd love to have you join us. And if you're not up to date, then we've got a huge backlog as well where you can go to stuff. For the first while, we were trying to avoid spoilers, but after a while, we kind of gave up on that and just said, okay, we're not a spoiler-free podcast.
Very true. Lunasaur.
Yeah, I will promote Lizzie's stream. She actually just was able to. She had for one of the stream anniversaries, she had I guess kind of a giveaway of catching shiny Pokemon, and I think she finally finished catching all the shiny Pokemon for the people that they got these giveaways of shiny Pokemon, and one was the person was really cheeky and asked her to get a shiny Alpha Pokemon, which is like doubling up on the rarity, but she got it. So she's really awesome and really thoughtful and kind to the people in her chat, more so than I think they deserve, in my opinion. And it's a good stream vibe. So yeah.
Shots fired. And yeah, you can always find me on twitch.tv/splicestream, where I've been doing a lot of XCOM content, recording a lot. I am looking forward to when I finish this campaign in the background so I can actually start to get to editing on Tales from the Infirmary, but we're not there yet, so we're just playing games, doing trivia. It's a good time.